Hey, all you chess fans out there, and welcome to the second round of this $3,000 Houston Chess Studio tournament. It happened near Halloween, right before Halloween. My opponent for round two is Sadia Qureshi, rated 1672, and I am John Hendrick, rated 2141, playing the black pieces. And so she starts out with d5. She starts out with d4. I played d5 and excuse me, she starts out with d4. I play knight f6, and eventually transposes to a d5 opening. After c4, I played, as you can see by the arrows, you can also play the bishop coming here as a Nimzo Indian or Bogo Indian, for example. Nimzo Indian defense. You could also play g6 and go into this Grunfeld defense, or you could play d6 and you would play the King's Indian, going for these two pawn breaks. In the game, she played knight c3, and then I played d5, transposing into a double queen pawn opening. This is called the Slav defense. There's a super boring variation which she goes for. She takes, I take it back, and now it's so symmetrical. You can see the symmetry of the pawns here. The open files of the rooks on the c file means pieces will be traded off. I didn't want this, but I had to deal with it. She played knight f3, a6, and lucky for me, I usually play knight c6 and bishop f5, which is too symmetrical, which is drawish. But my coach had taught me this e6 move, and after e3, I played bishop d6 to trade bishops. Bishop e7 is very interesting, and even though I shut down the development of my bishop, I had prepared my pawn advance and a fianchettoed bishop. Sometimes it could go to b5 as well. And so she played knight e5, which surprised me because I could use that knight as a target to develop my knight. And instead of going for this exchange, which would give me an equal position where I could go for these two pawn breaks, Sadia played, after this, she played knight backwards. After knight e5 and knight c6, she played knight to d3. And if I take the bishop, she takes back with the knight. So I castled, developing my pieces. And here comes, if bishop takes f4, she plays knight takes f4, like I said. This bishop e2, b6, I seriously considered b5, but I didn't want to let her knight kind of easily go into this square after, for example. I can still play this way and challenge her knight. It's definitely a way you could play, but I didn't want to do that. I traded off too many pieces. She castles, I play bishop b7, and we're almost done developing our pieces. Rook to the c file, logical. Queen b8, I was trying to get my rook to c8, but then she takes advantage of it, and she takes it. I take it back with my queen, and now she plays this annoying queen b3 move that I didn't want to see. I defended the pawn that she's attacking with my knight, and then she plays another good move, knight a4, and I played rook fb8, indirectly defending my pawn, as I didn't want to play b5 as the knights are coming in here, getting all sorts of tempos. Although I could play this way and maybe go for a counter of my own. But after this rook move that I played, it was a long think I took, and this is 90 plus 30 finally. This game is, the first round was like 60 with a delay 5, and this is 90 minutes total for each player with a 30-second increment. After this rook move, Sadia did not take this pawn. She probably thought it was a trap. She might have seen knight a5, which looks like it wins a piece. But pause the video and try to figure out what white could play here that's really, really strong. And white would be up a pawn. Okay, here's the answer. Queen a4. I didn't see that during the game. If I take with the queen, she takes my knight. And if I take the knight, she takes this knight. And white emerges with an extra pawn and a nice outpost. This would be a disaster for white. So I hope that if she played knight takes pawn, I hope I would have seen this brilliant move. Attacking her queen. She takes back. I take back here. And it should be a close to equal position, although white might even be better with the outpost. So, kind of lucky she didn't go for that. But she played f4. And I'm worried about this kingside attack, this knight a5 idea. So I finally decided to go ahead and trade pieces into the endgame. I played knight a5. I foresaw she would play queen b4. So I went for queen takes b4, knight takes b4, and I saw after b5 that she could play knight c5, and this is what happened. And the computer engine says after this that she should have played and got this nice strong pawn, and that would have been much better. I agree with the computer. She took with the rook though, and after rook takes c4, c5, I played knight c4. She took it. I took with the pawn, opening my b file, and it gets really interesting here. There's one thing I wanted to mention back here that I did, instead of playing b5 like I did in the game, I did look at this move, but I rejected this move because I calculated this following sequence. I sacrifice a piece, or I sacrifice a pawn, and then I do a fork here. I saw that she would counterattack my knight, and I saw I would take, and she would take. And then here I looked at this move. Takes. And with a slightly better position for black, but pretty close to equal. I didn't want to go for that because it was too close to equal for me, but what I didn't notice was after the fork, and after I take, and after she takes, I have this bishop e4 move completely restricting her knight. Look at that knight not being able to really access these squares thanks to my bishop. So I totally missed this bishop move. That would have been really, really nice. And she defends her knight, but I can still chase it away and go for this pawn. Black is much better here. So I should have gone for this continuation. But I played b5 in the game. She played knight c5. I played knight takes c5. She takes with the rook, and I played this knight c4. She plays bishop takes. I play pawn takes. And she too passively played rook b1 here. I expected something more aggressive like rook a5. I expected her to play instead this rook a5 move where she is at least keeping pressure and stopping my pawns and making my bishop feel sad. I had planned on going back here and trading off this rook. That was my plan, but there's not much I could do to break through. She could play rook here and block all the dark squares. I just can't really break through. So luckily for me, she did this rook b1 move. I played pawn to a5, chasing her knight. She goes to c2, and then after c2, I played rook c8 to trade rooks. I think she should trade it, but she went to bishop rook b5, and she, after bishop c6, rook b6, bishop a4, and I thought if she plays b3, this is not good, because I'll take, and probably get a good game with rook takes, make a back rank defense, and her pawns are weak, and I'm up a pawn. So after this position, after bishop a4, she settled for knight a3, and I traded rooks, and if you look at the result, you have an active bishop and an active rook versus a passive rook on b8. So these are the good pieces, and the one in red's kind of stuck defending. You don't want pieces to be stuck defending in chess, but the one good thing for her is that all these pawns are the same color as my bishop, which means my bishop has less mobility. So we'll see what happened as a good solution for that. After she played king f2, I played a good move. I played f6, making way for my bishop to come back to this diagonal, and my plan is to chase the rook away and grab the free pawn. She defends by moving her king closer, and after that, there is bishop e8, and there's knight c2. And I played a mistake. I played c3 here. I could have played this wonderful bishop g6 move. It's a squeeze play, because if she plays king c2, I just assumed that once she played king here, I can't break through. But the truth is, there's something beautiful. For example, let's say I play a random move, and she plays king here. Pause the video and see if you can find a nice plan for black to kind of break through here. And if you thought it was a4, you're on the right track. I think she might be able to defend with this move, though, because I can't play a3 anymore. It might have been critical not to play king here, actually, because now I still don't see a way to break through. Let me know in the comments if you see a way to break through for black, but I don't see a way. But instead of king there, I should have played a4, and if she blocks with the king, Now pause the video and try to find blacksmith. Okay. And yes, the answer is push. This is what I missed in the game. There's 2 pins at once. What a great pawn move. And white is completely paralyzed to the defense of this pawn. Any rook move results in a free pawn. A knight move results in this hanging rook. And pawn move is a free rook. Everything's collapsing. So this would put tremendous long-term pressure. And she just has to wait while I move my pawns off the board and maybe move my king up and break free and enter my king in the battle somehow while she's tied down. Anyway, but after c3, I thought it was a great move, but it wasn't the best. She just blocked at b3, and I played a4. She played b4. And now I saw that at some point I could get my bishop into the square to attack this pawn, and then force the pawn to come up and have another square for my bishop. That's kind of what happened. After b4, I played check, and king d1. I played bishop c4, attacking the pawn, which she defended. h5 I thought was a good move, but maybe it wasn't the very best move. I'm not sure how I could break through here, but I was trying to make a way for my king in the game. And lucky for me, she played h4, which allows me access to this square eventually, or to this square. So that gave me like permanent access. And now my position's close to winning. I might be close to winning here. After h4, king f7, king e1, king g6, here comes my king, and king f5, rook c1, rook c8, king f3, and I decide to force her king back and try to enter the battle over here and take her pawn. After g3, I do a pawn break, and we have a trade. Pawn takes, pawn takes, pawn takes, king takes, knight e1, attacking my bishop. But before going check and allowing her king to come back, I threw in this rook check, which means her king has no access to that square. So it has to go back to g2. I played check, and she has to go back to g1. And now I played c2. Probably after knight takes, I had this move, rook c8, and then she played really great move b5. I thought I could just trade initially, and I was kind of dismayed that if I trade, look what happens. I'm not back in time. I can't stop her from getting a queen. She would win the game. So I take with the bishop, and after she pushes the pawn, I miss this move, king g4, and my king is active, and more importantly, it stops her king from coming out. So what happened was, instead I played this rook b8 move attacking her pawn, and she simply takes, and I take. I thought I was being clever because I'm defending the pawn, but there's variations that you'll see soon that her king could enter the battle, where if my king was on g4, my king would be closer to her pawn, and her king could not enter the battle. And you'll see in just a second how that works. After rook takes b6, she played king f2, maybe king g2 was better, and if I play rook b3, king f3, rook takes pawn, and she plays rook over to go for checks. I try to get my pawn up to be a queen. She plays check, and I'll just go through this variation really quickly. Check, check, and then if I go rook over here, if she goes rook over here now, and I go king up, she goes check, and it's going to be a draw. But if I decide that I want to start pushing the pawn, she could finally play king here and start getting her king out of the way. And anytime I go here to, or she could even play king to e5, and anytime I try to check her king, it's shielded by her pawns, and she could even play rook here and play rook takes pawn check. She gets counterplay, and it could be very difficult. But here's what happened. After rook takes c2, rook takes b6, and this is the game. Rook takes b6, and then I played rook b3, going for this a pawn. She played rook c6. I played king f5, king f3, rook takes pawn, and she played rook a6. Now her last chance was once again rook c8. Her king is actually close enough to make trouble. For example, if rook a1, rook check, again, something like we saw before, and once again her king can get active. And if I try to come up and stop her king, she just checks me from behind. If I push here, she's once again getting counterplay. Now rook a6 happened, and I think I'm already winning the game, but the rest was a grind. After rook a1, I'm just going to go through the moves really quickly. King g2, a3, king f2, a2, king g2, e5. I did a pawn break, and I knew it was just a matter of time now. And in this position, I thought I was winning, but she plays rook a3, and I'm like, oh man, I can't do anything. If I move my rook, she'll take my pawn. And what else? I can't move my king back because then her rook just goes back. But I decided there is a way to win. I could just bring my king all the way around this way and then get to the exact same position and lose a move. And then if it's her turn here, she loses, as you'll see soon. So that's what I did. A really interesting plan. King e5, rook a4, king back to d6, rook a5, king c6, going after her rook, rook a6 check, king c5, and then she plays rook a7, king c4, rook a6, king d3, attacking her pawn. She plays the check to x-ray defend her pawn, and then I play king e4, and look, it's the same position that we just talked about, and she can't do anything but move her king. Unfortunately for her, if she moves the king this way, pause the video and see if you can find the winning move. A lot of you experienced players already know this move, but it's rook to h1, and it takes the pawn. There's a deadly skewer. That is so nasty. Check, and I win the rook. Yes, and so she has to play king h2, but then pause the video. What is the best move for black? If you said king f3, you're correct. And then she plays e4 check, just desperation. I take with the king. Now I have two clean pawns ahead. The rest of the game is a matter of just technique. She checks me, I defend my pawn, and I ladder my king all the way back to her rook, and here she resigns. Quite a close call considering she's 1700 and I'm 2100. I maybe should consider a sharper opening like the Binko, the Benoni, the King's Indian, the Grunfeld, something so that I could save mental energy and play a more fierce game and not play a 76 move game that could last like this. But that being said, I really enjoyed this game. This game lasted for 4 hours, over 4 hours. So but I was doing well because I wasn't really drained because I had gotten a good sleep, and I had quit drinking alcohol for a long time since the middle of the summer. So yeah, I've been doing really well and having more focus and energy. If you find this content valuable and you really enjoy this, please consider subscribing to the video. It means a lot and really helps our channel. If you like this particular video, please leave a comment or a like, and have a wonderful rest of your week, and see you on the next video.